Good afternoon. It's absolutely an honor and pleasure to be here, and I'm standing here only because I am a part of a consortium collaborative network called the Design Alliance Asia. I happen to be the India associate of this network, and as was just mentioned, we have completed, or we are in the process of completing a project called Colors of Asia, which is showcasing as we speak at HKDI. So I hope some of you have a chance to go and see it. So, well, the topic of my lecture today is, by the way, we needed it yesterday. And I'm just going to explain what it means in a little while. But before that, I'd like to begin with my favorite story. My company is called Elephant. And, well, this story is of elephant. So long, long ago in India, there was a small town, and it had 6 blind people. And one day, all of them heard that there is an elephant visiting that village. Now they were blind people, but they were absolutely curious, and they wanted to know what this creature is. So they all decided to go and find out. Now how do blind people find out anything? They actually go and touch, right? So all these people went and touched the elephant. And as it so happened, it's a very large creature. So each one of them happened to touch one part of that elephant. And then when they all came back, all of them believed that they know what an elephant is. And so the first person said, oh, I know what it is. It's like a fan, because he probably touched the ear of the elephant. And then someone said, no, I think it's like a tree trunk, because he probably touched the leg of the elephant. And someone said it's like a wall, because he probably touched the back, and a snake, and a rope, and so on. And they all started arguing. And as is well known around the world, Indians are very argumentative. So all of them started arguing, and then came the wise man, and he said, you know what? All of you are right. Each one of you has felt and touched something, and it's absolutely your own perception, and that's right. There's nothing wrong about it. All you have to do is put all your pieces together to see the big picture. And that really is the story with which we started Elephant Design in 1989 as a multidisciplinary design company, because we believed that design is a teamwork, it's a team game. And if all of us come with different perceptions and put our pieces together, we will probably see the big picture of what design could be in India. Because interestingly, at that time, India did not really have anything that you could call as business of design. We were probably one of the early companies that started charging something called design fees. So you can imagine what was the status that time. So anyway, so that's my favorite story. Because we co-founded Elephant based on that story. Today we happen to be the largest independent design company in India, and it's been 23 years. And we are now also there in Singapore and in 2 locations in India. And we believe our job is actually to do a positive change to business through design thinking. So that's really how we have expanded our scope. And though a handful of us started this as the blind people, we have been adding more and more blind people, because we want more and more perceptions that are true, and we want to form a bigger and bigger picture. And that's why I feel it's a very fortunate thing for us to have become a part of the Design Alliance, because it's an even bigger picture than India. It's a big picture of Asia. So back to my topic. So I have been at this design practice for 23 years. And in the initial years, even if you get one brief from a client, you're thrilled, because you are going to get a project. And even today, when we get a brief from a client, I still feel the thrill. I still feel that there is a new opportunity to make a positive change. And so we hear the brief, and all of us start talking about it, get very excited, sort of start ideating and figuring out how we are going to do this project. And before we come to the end of that briefing session, the client, almost as an afterthought or after conversation, says, by the way, we needed it yesterday. And I don't think it's very different if you're students or if you're practitioners. Anything that comes to us now, as students, we have submissions to do, and somehow the time is never enough. As practitioners, we have deadlines, clients have their own deadlines, there are business compulsions, and there is always a deadline which doesn't give you enough time. So I'll just give you a few examples how ironic this time becomes. Few years ago, we got into a project for a client who wanted to make relaxing lounges to sell a holiday product to young couples. Now they wanted to create an atmosphere which is almost like a mini holiday. So it relaxes you, it's got soothing music, there could be a foot massage spa, there would be a guitar which if you want to play, you could play it, you could see very soothing, calming colors and textures around, very natural sort of feel. Basically a place that relaxes a couple, a young couple who's trying to make a decision about a holiday, doesn't get into an argument and just concludes into a good note. So we were supposed to build an experience which was relaxing, which was about no pressure of time. But even this client wanted it yesterday. He didn't give us enough time. This is another one. We do a lot of packaging. If you see the name of this stack, it's called Time Pass. And in colloquial Indian language, time pass is basically a very legitimate activity. So if I call my 18-year-old son and ask him what is he doing, he probably will tell me time pass. So basically doing nothing. And that's a favorite national activity. We don't necessarily have to be doing something all the time. And this snack, again, was about passing time, right? And even this client said, we wanted it yesterday. Another client, we also do product design. This client came to us and said, you know what, in earlier days, there used to be slow fire cooking, slow cooking. So, terracotta ware, stoneware, it used to take hours to cook one rice dish. Sometimes 6 to 7 hours on a very slow fire, and it would retain the aromas and flavors and would be a very tasty dish. This client said, I want to make something like this. I want to bring back slow cooking. This client is the largest maker of cookware in India. And he said, I want to bring slow cooking back. We said, great. Another thrill. And even this client wanted it yesterday. So that's the irony. Anything that we have to create, even if it is supposed to relax our mind, it's supposed to evoke a lifestyle which is about doing something slow, peaceful, calm. Even then, the client always wants it yesterday. And that's not good, right? For any mind, it's not good to be running all the time. So at some point in time, we said, can we slow down, please? Can we do something which is not needed yesterday? Can we do something which has a little more time in life? And so we started looking around for inspirations. What could we do that can slow us down, that can give us some pace? What are those examples around us in India that have had the time on their side? Any of you have been here? Taj Mahal, which is also now a World Heritage Site. It was planned, designed, and built over 22 years. Just see the time these designers and master craftsmen, artisans had for detailing, for planning, for executing it to the finest detail. If you ever happen to see Taj Mahal, you will see details like these, and it's all around. It's a huge structure, and every inch of that structure is detailed in terms of color, in terms of sculptures, in terms of inlay, in terms of calligraphy. Everything is detailed. And these took years. It's supposed to have taken 20,000 craftsmen to build this amazing monument. 22 years, right? They had time on their side. But we said we don't have 22 years, and we don't have a Shah Jahan who wants to build something for his late wife. So we started looking around closer home for another inspiration. There are many inspirations. There are a lot of handicrafts around India. And there was one more inspiration. This is a particular sari weaving technique from a particular small town in the state where I live. It's called Paithani sari. And a master weaver may take up to 2 months to weave one sari. One sari is 5 meters by 1 meter. It's a cloth that's basically wrapped around in a particular fashion. I wore one such sari for my wedding many years ago. And I don't think I realized that time, and I'm sorry to say I didn't realize that time, that it probably took somebody 2 months to weave that sari. Sometimes when it comes to the brocade part, it seems the master weavers weave just an inch, a square inch in a day. So just see the kind of time that goes on in thinking about what you're doing, the kind of detailing that you're doing, and the kind of perfection that can come up because you're spending that kind of time. So these weavers actually spend months weaving just one garment. Because of that, you can get detailing like this. Then we said, okay, we are not that skilled, but maybe we can look at something which is in our own backyard, And I'm located in a town called Pune, which is about a 3-hour drive from Mumbai. And we said, what is around us? Is there something around us that is slow, interesting, and can do something with design intervention? And we found one interesting craft right there in Pune. There is a whole community of coppersmiths in Pune, and they do hand beating to the pots. They are called tambat. Tambe means copper in our language, and tambat is the community that actually makes pots even today by beating by hand. So these pots have a beating texture which is done by hand. And I have seen, as a child, I have seen devices like these. My grandmother used to have a water geyser made out of copper, which was hand beaten. Used to run on coal, used to put steam up from that middle furnace that you see. And we used to get really hot water for bathing. Interestingly, these people are still making those. And I don't know who is really using them. Because if you come to pots and pans for cooking or in kitchens, people are preferring either stainless steel or the high end is preferring glass and ceramic and so on. And if it comes to low end, I don't think anybody can afford these anymore because these are handmade. So this whole community is kind of shrinking day by day, and their next generation doesn't want to do it. A coppersmith takes a day to finish one pot. So again, imagine the kind of time he spends, the dedication he has for his craft, the kind of slowness of the mind that makes him concentrate, lets him do that detailing to perfection. It's imperfect perfect, right? So hand-beaten, handcrafted objects do have certain imperfection, but that's the charm of them. So this person probably has spent an entire day trying to get this pot beaten like this. So we said, okay, this is right in our backyard, in the city where we live. How about doing projects using copper? And we started learning how coppersmiths work and what do they do with their hands. And the first opportunity we got was when we designed for Commonwealth Youth Games that took place in our city. And we designed a baton. And we said it will not have a flame, but instead it will have copper leaves. And these copper leaves were actually done by coppersmiths from our town, where we learned how they use all kinds of variety of tools and what kind of perfection they could achieve. So this was one of the interesting projects which, of course, our designers would sit with them and try and get this to perfection and so on. This baton actually went around the country. It went through air, water, seas. It went around 199 towns, 74 days. 6,000 sportsmen in India ran with this baton. And we believe that we actually took the coppersmith of Pune around the country through this baton. And eventually it was spreading the Green Games message, and it came back to the Games precinct where a Garden of Youth was started with this baton. Another opportunity, and we are always looking for opportunities for copper now. A client of ours, one of the largest in the world in wind energy, Suzlon, wanted us to do some souvenirs and trophies. And again, we decided that we would use the local craftspeople, and we tried doing something with copper once again. But then how do we get these opportunities? Because they are really far and few. You know, there are very, very rare opportunities when you can use local craftspeople. So we have started doing our own project now. It's an initiative of Elephant Design. It is called Copart, which is creating objects out of traditional craft of copper, which is right there in Pune city, and seeing how they can become lifestyle objects. And so we have been trying to do smaller objects like accessories, lamps, water vessels, and so on. And these are coming up. These are yet in development. So we've not yet started selling them, but there is always a way forward, and we've started developing such objects now. So the point is that if you believe in something, if you believe that fast is bad, you can do something about it. You can be slow. If you believe in a craft which is dying, you can do something about it. You can combine your passion, your competency along with the craft and try and do something. And we have a lot of rich heritage across every country in Asia. So the only thing I would urge all of you is not just reduce, recycle, and reuse, but revisit. Revisit what has been there in the past. Revisit what you have known of in the past. And that's probably the only way you can shift from, by the way, we needed it yesterday, to, by the way, take your time. Because that's the only thing you can do to yourself, and you are the only ones who can do this to yourself. Otherwise, we are all going to be running all the time. So the only thing I would say is take your time, find what you like and do it. Thank you very much.